Hey all, welcome back to A Good Enough Girl. I'm Becky and I'll be your host for today. I realize it's been probably a couple of months since we last met, so I'm glad to be back. It has been a kind of a whirlwind of actually travel, which is fantastic. I started the beginning of the school year working in a 7th grade health classroom, and that was really fun. I love the content, I love the kids, so it was a great experience. And then I took some time off. I went to City Vancouver, then I went to Phoenix, and then I went to Pender Island off the coast of Vancouver for a knitting retreat. So I'll give you kind of an update on what's been going on over the last few weeks and show you some of the stuff that I'm up to. So right now what I'm wearing is very exciting because I actually finished something. This is the Frame Your Face Cowl by Andrea Mowry, and I knit it up in Spinster's Daughter in the color Daddy State of Mind. So that's the lovely chartreuse right there. And then also I used Dark Matter by Spincycle Yarns, and it was in Dream State. And so this took about it just took over one full skein of the Spinster's Daughter, and it took about 1.5 skeins of the Dream State. So it was a pretty quick knit. It took me about 5 or 6 weeks to finish, from beginning to blocking to seaming and all that stuff, which for me, as you probably know, is really fast. And it's super comfy cozy. I like that it's got a little twist in it. So it's a Mobius cowl, so you actually twist it before you seam it together. And so I really like how this one turned out. I bought the yarn last year when I was at my first trip to Spincycle Yarns up in Bellingham. So they helped me find some really cool colors to go together. And I love this. I absolutely adore how it turned out. If you turn it around, you can see I did okay on the seaming, not too bad. It still looks like those quilt squares. So that's fantastic. Let's see. So I was telling you about my Frame Your Face cowl. I love it. It's actually super soft and warm. I did a good job seaming it together. And I'm actually really proud of my own self because this is probably one of the first finished garments, wearable accessories that I've made in a very long time that's not a pair of socks. So I worked on this while I was in Phoenix. I worked on it at City Vancouver. I worked on it when I was in Pender Island, and I finally finished it when I came home last week, I believe. So I got it all blocked and seamed in, and I'm very happy with it. And I rarely ever use this yellow Serenity t-shirt from Cabby, but the color goes great with my wrap, so I'm wearing it today. All right, so I'm just going to give you a quick rundown of what I'm working on because it's been a long time, and so I actually do have some finished FOs, which is a miracle. And so I'll show you. So this is one of my major FOs. So I finished this recently, and I have a couple of FOs. I have some whips to share with you, and I just cast on a new one yesterday. I'm participating in the Spincycle Plump Along, and so I'll show you that one. Let's see. So in progress right now. And I do want to show you, this is a t-shirt I've been working on for quite some time. I am a fairly new crocheter, and so I was test knitting called the Scrappy V-tee by my friend Jessie, Such Bulldog Knits, or is it Such Bull Knits? Yeah. So Jessie made this design. It's a granny square V-neck t-shirt, and I've actually gotten through most of the body. Looks really great with this with this other pattern. So I've gotten through most of the front part of the body, so it goes down to about here, and then I have started underarm right here to create the side of the body. And I enjoy the pattern. I do tend to take breaks from it because I get a little not bored necessarily, but I want to do something else once I'm into all these granny squares. And so it's been an on and off project for quite some time. I didn't finish in time for the end of the test knit, but I did have some feedback, and it was really a fairly simple project. It was simple to follow. I love the shape of it, and I'm excited to finish it and wear it. The biggest challenge for me, besides being a new crocheter and not really knowing what I was doing, was picking the colors. So it's basically intended to be scrappy, so it uses all of your scraps. So if you're a sock knitter, this is a great project because you have lots and lots of socks that have extra yarn. And so most of this is from sock yarn that I had gotten either from the Farmer's Daughter Fibers, Sock Squad this year. I have something from a pair of mittens that I made. And so if you look through it, there's a lot of stuff I can say, oh yeah, I remember those socks. I remember that pair of mittens. So it's really cool from that perspective to kind of see everything. And I think the colors turned out really, really well. I did end up buying a couple of different ones to add into it because I felt like I didn't have enough since I've only been knitting socks for basically a year. So I like how this is turning out. Hopefully I will have it done. I'm sure it'll be ready for springtime. And so I'm excited. I'm excited for that. It's going to be like it's got the shoulders that kind of drop off a little bit and you can actually wear it like over your shoulder, things like that. So I'm excited to see how that works out. So there's a little up close of it. And I learned a ton doing this. So every project I try to figure out, what have I learned? Well, I learned how to crochet. I learned how to make and recognize a granny cluster. So that for me was a pretty big deal. And then this cowl, I learned how to do my stranded color work and how to lock in my stitches as I was going. So that was pretty cool. Let's see, it was Robin from Sweet Georgia Yarns at the Knit City, who she helped me a ton without even having to. Like she just basically said, oh, you will want to do this. Make sure that you just want to make this X, and so you're locking it in. And she even had suggested locking it in every other stitch. And I think that really helped with my tension and made it, there's no puckering anywhere on this thing. So it was really nice. And then let's see, so I got that, I got my crochet tee. I am currently working on a plump along. So the plump along for Spincycle, I just started. This is the beginnings of my Plump It Up Cowl by Andrea Mowry. So I bought this pattern. I actually just bought it in August, but I had the main color yarn I bought from, it's Spincycle Yarns Plump, and it is the Grocery Girls exclusive colorway, and it's called Party Pop. And so I love teals and pinks and purples, and so I love their colorway. And then over the summer, Spincycle came out with something called Tough Love. That was the colorway on the back. So it's kind of a lighter version of the one on the other side. And I started this yesterday. So I gotta say, this is working up really, really nicely. Those cute little stitch markers are from Black Pearl Magic. I got those when I was at Flock this summer. So this thing is moving really, really quickly. I started yesterday, and so this lifeline right here is what I did yesterday. It would have been way farther, except for I had to restart this thing 4 times, but luckily the cast on edge was only 5 stitches, so it wasn't a big deal to restart over and over and over again, which I did. And then last night as I was working on it, I realized I skipped one of my increases, and so I didn't want the pattern to be unbalanced or off. So I learned also, I learned brioche knitting, so hooray. I love the way this feels. It's super squishy and plumpy. I also learned how to fix brioche knitting. So I ripped it back, and I had to go past the lifeline I had in it because I realized my mistake was way past the lifeline. And then I picked up all my stitches. There's little shawl collars that go into the brioche, and so I learned how to do that with the shawl collars, and it actually worked. I actually was able to pick it up. And so I've also learned how to drop down and fix stitches because I found a few. There's a few bars, like one I didn't fix. So if you look at that right there, I'm not fixing that because this is going to be around the back of the neck, and I'm not too concerned about it. But these little wraparounds, if you put them in the wrong direction, sometimes you'll have a bar that floats across, and I learned how to fix those. So thanks to YouTube, the wonderful world of YouTube, I've been using tutorials from Stephen West, Andrea Mowry, and I watched a whole bunch of different ones on fixing brioche. So this has been really fun, and I'm looking forward to finishing it. I have until December 13th, and so even at my pace, I think this is going to get done. So I'm very happy about that. So those are some of my whips. I also have a finished item. Let me see if I can get my hands on this. So as part of my trip to Phoenix, we went to a place called, where did we get this from? The Yarn Parlor. And so we stopped at the Yarn Parlor, which was relatively new. I guess it had just opened like 3 weeks before in Phoenix. Actually, Tempe? It's either in Scottsdale or I think it's in Scottsdale. Because we went there, we went on a little scooter tour of Scottsdale. And so then my friend Kim, who's a genius, and she's like, we should do some yarn shops while we're here, because there was like 4 good ones that we wanted to check out. So while I was there, I got Cashmere Dreams. So it's Lang Cashmere Dreams, and it's part cashmere and silk, and it is divine. Like, I've never felt anything quite so soft. And I ruined the softness just a little bit. I added some of the Lang paillettes, so little tiny kind of gold sparkles. And I turned this into, it is called the Keyhole wrap. So basically, you start from the bottom, you knit some yarn overs all the way through the one side, and it looks kind of like a paisley when you're all done. So the shape is kind of paisley shaped. So it's got that curve right here, and then it curves down into the tip. And so you basically wear it just by putting it around your neck. Of course, I already have another collar on. And so let me take this one off. And so basically it's got this cute little keyhole. So you find the keyhole, there it is. So you have the keyhole, you have the little tip of the edge, and you put that through. And it's kind of a nice, easy neck warmer. And around here, it doesn't get super cold, but definitely gets breezy and windy. And so this is a really nice piece, just for a little bit of extra something. And I like the sparkle. It added a little bit of holiday. I did learn, if you're using the Lang paillettes, I thought there was a lot more in the ball when I got it. Because, I mean, it's big, the way they wind it up, but there's actually not a ton in there. So I think there was like 25 grams. Had I read the packaging, I probably would have known that. But I was doing every single row back and forth all the way until I realized I was starting to run low. So you can kind of see the difference. This is like every 3rd row up here. And so it's got a little less sparkle, but still some, and it doesn't have quite that sheen. So I tried to kind of ombre it a little bit. But I was surprised. So make sure you get plenty of that when you're going to be working with those paillettes, because they are definitely, it's not a very generous size ball. And I got those, I got the paillettes from the Crafty Jackalope when I was at Knit City Vancouver. So you can see my projects are coming from all over the US and Canada. And so it's been really, really fun to do that. All right, then I have my sock, which, honest to goodness, I have no idea where it is. You would probably laugh if you saw all the stuff going on around here. But it's my Super Glow sock, and it is bright and sunny and neon, and I love it. And it's going pretty slowly just because I'm using that as my go project. So anytime I'm actually going out and knitting. And now I finished the 2nd leg of the sock, and so I have to get into the heel. So I've kind of, it's not quite as easy and portable right now. I got to get into the heel. So I'll be doing that soon. So, okay, I think that's everything that's going on as far as what I'm making. Although I have been spinning, I did a ton of spinning, like to the fact where I probably injured my hands on Friday. I spun for about 5 hours. So I did some finishing work on a skein that I was doing, and I did some, I started up on a new merino project that was kind of this beautiful teal and orange, but I'll show you the one that I was finishing. So this is from Wine and Wool Designs. It's currently drying. It's almost dry, but it's just a beautiful kind of plums and purples, a little bit of pinks in here, some bluish tones. And so I did this, I bought this 2 years ago, and I started spinning on it just right after I started spinning. I also used it to learn how to chain ply. And so the chain plying is not quite as glamorous and gorgeous. So this is the chain plied stuff. So you can see there's not as much differentiation in each of the strands. It's kind of more one color. Whereas the original one that I did has a little bit, you can see more of the barber pulling. So there's more color changes in there because I was using 3 different strands together, where the chain ply is really just 1 strand together. So you're kind of chaining it back on itself. So it's basically whatever's coming up, you're going to get 3 of that in one spot. So I finished a bunch of that, and now I'm just going to have to skein it up. It's almost dry. And so then I will probably make, I'm thinking probably a shawl pattern. Do you have any suggestions? I think I have about 250 or 300 yards of this, maybe more. So what would you make with it? Do you have any ideas? Because I haven't made any shawls yet, and so I would love to use this for my very first shawl pattern. That would be cool, kind of cool to have my hand spun in a handmade object. So I'm just going to hang that on my chair over here. All right, so let's talk about where I've been. It's been a whirlwind, and I feel like I haven't stopped moving, and finally I've kind of settled down. I finished all my travels in about mid-October, and so I've been just chilling for a little bit. It's now November 2nd when I'm filming, and so who knows when you'll actually get to see it, probably the weekend following. And so let's see. So in September, I went to City Vancouver, and after having gone to Flock, my goal was definitely to streamline and plan my purchases so that I wasn't buying, because most of the stuff I bought, I have plans for it, but I think I have like 3 of the same sweater with sweater quantities from 3 different companies to make 1 sweater. So, and knowing me, I probably won't make 3 of the same sweater over and over again. But so I went into Knit City, and it was all Canadian dyers, Canadian companies. And so it was really quite different than going to Flock, where there was mostly American, but also some Canadian vendors mixed in. And I know with the state of the Canadian dollar versus the American dollar, it's harder for Canadian companies to come here and actually turn the profit that they need to turn at one of our events. And so I went to Knit City Vancouver, and having never been there before, it was my first time. And so I really enjoyed it. The people, every time I go to Canada, I'm just so delighted on how kind and thoughtful and nice they are everywhere that we go. And so all the vendors were really nice and helpful. There was a lot of really cool products I'd never seen before. And so I had a really great time just exploring. And I had plans that were kind of a little more finite, but then my actual behaviors became infinite. So there were so many wonderful things that were amazing to touch and to experience, and there were some cool new products. I don't have it with me, but I got a fiber ring, and it's basically kind of a knuckle ring that helps to put your yarn over your fingers so you have less chafing and hopefully no rubbing on your skin. And that was really, really cool. So I'll make sure to put her information down below in the info section. As I mentioned, I did spend some time with the Crafty Jackalope, and so I've been admiring her items and designs since I started watching Grocery Girls, which was a couple of years ago. And so I got the Magpie Darling shawl. So this is, so let's see. So basically this is the shawl. I think it's gonna be a really cute wrap when I'm done. And it's called the Magpie Darling. And I got it in this beautiful combination of army colors. I'm not going to take them out, but so you notice there's 3 of these balls of paillettes. I probably should have paid attention to this kit when I was buying the other stuff, knowing that I'll probably need more than just 1 ball for most projects. And a beautiful, let's see, it's a Super Baby Alpaca Silk and Cashmere. It's Majestic Fluff is the other one from Frankie Gray Fibers, and so that's the base of it, and then the Lang paillettes. And so I'm excited to work on that. I think I'm in my kind of neck warmer phase right now, my era. So that's the Magpie. Very excited about that. Everything else is from a different place. And so I said my plans were finite. But then this is completely full of infinite things. Let's see what else. This, I think, has mostly Phoenix in it. Yeah, that's Phoenix. Oh, yeah, and here's another one. So I went to the Stitch and Pitch here for the Seattle Mariners back before they went off to the playoffs. And we got these really cool tote bags that have like a zipper that you can undo. And so it'll make it a little bit deeper if I need to. I didn't need to. I left it short and shallow. But there's a lot in here. I mean, a lot. So I can just show you there. And I'd heard so many, because I follow a lot of Canadian podcasters like Allie Makes Everything, The Grocery Girls. And so I really had heard about a lot of these different companies and dyers and things like that. So I wanted to check some stuff out. So I discovered Sweet Georgia, which I had never experienced before. And I had a purchase quantity, and they said, well, if you add $40, then you get the gift bag. And I'm like, oh, I love a gift bag, and didn't know anything about what was in the gift bag. So my friend and I combined our stuff, and so I gave her some of the goodies. I had no idea the gift bag had a full skein of yarn in it, and it had a pair of needles. It had a pattern. It had, I think, some stickers. And so it had all this good stuff in it, plus a tote bag. And I actually was going through the tote bag, and I was like, oh my God, I didn't buy these needles. Who bought these needles? These are my needles. And so I went back to the Sweet Georgia booth and said, these ended up in my bag, and I didn't buy them. And she goes, oh, they're part of the gift bag. Okay, so very generous gift bag, very generous. So at Sweet Georgia, I discovered, let's see, these really cool kind of these fade kits. And so it actually comes all put together in the color combination called Lyrical, and they give you all the color palettes on here, and it'll be great for like just a sweater or something that I want to do with an ombre fade. And so that's all ready to go. This is all, let's see, 80/20 superwash merino, and I don't see what size it is, but as I'm looking at it, it could be a fingering or a sport. So I thought that was super, super cool, because I'm always interested in doing the ombre ones, but I don't like putting the colors together myself, because color choosing is not my gift. I don't have a vision for color, and so as I'm doing things together, I really depend on other people to help me be successful. And so I think this is going to be a great help. And that was the main thing that I got from Sweet Georgia. I mean, literally, there's too much. I can't even, I'm like overwhelmed right now sitting here. So I won't be able to go through all the things that I got there, but some notable standouts. From Wool and Waves, they had this beautiful How New Hugget wool, and it's a bump of so soft, and it is 18 to 19 micron mulberry silk and Hugget wool, and it's 100 grams of it, and it is delicious. I got 2 of these because I figured I could do a larger project with that, and I would probably really enjoy wearing that. And spinning with it, I don't know if it's going to be a difficult spin, but I know it's going to feel great. So I'm excited. And so, like I said, I did get 2 of those because I didn't want to be left out. And Connection Point, so this is from Wool and Waves up in Canada. And then I went to the KnitSocial. So they had their, so KnitSocial is who does Knit City Vancouver. They had some last minute openings at their Pender Island Retreat at Poets Cove, and I was kind of like, this is my year for yarn travel. That's kind of my theme this year. So I've gone to a bunch of different events. I've traveled to cities, and so I decided to just join them. I love the retreat that I went on in the spring, or I guess in the winter, and so I thought it would be fun to do another one. So I signed up, met some wonderful people, and one of the attendees, as well as one of the vendors there, was Wool and Waves. And so it was nice to see her and say, hey, I bought some really beautiful fiber from you. And I was describing it, and she knew exactly what I was talking about, so that she was familiar with it. And I guess it all sold out really, really quickly, because I mean, why wouldn't it? It's gorgeous. And then I thought this was super fun. This was from Tofino Knit Company, and it's just beautiful. It is a airy tweed, so it's got these beautiful tweedy little neps in there, and the colorway is all about based on Inside Out, the emotions. And so I've shown Inside Out in classes many, many times. We use it as a way of talking about like mental health and your internal dialogues and how you change through time in life. And so I was like, well, this is just perfect. And so all of the colors inside here, you can see like there's anger in here and there's little neps of joy right there. And so they're all up in there. And then they had little minis that went along with it in different emotions. And so I can't remember which color. I think this is anxiety, but I'm not sure. So it's kind of a purpley color. And so it's my favorite color. So I got that one, even if I don't want to deal with any extra anxiety in my life. And then, so I don't know if you've heard of Kensington, what is it? Kensington Prairie Farms. Yeah, Kensington Prairie Farm. They're an alpaca farm. And if I could have any farm animals, I would have alpacas because they're funny, they're cute, and they have incredibly soft wool. So I bought a sweater's quantity of this gorgeous, it's kind of like a bluish green. I think my light tone is probably pretty off, but it's a beautiful blue green. It is 4-ply, and it's 100% baby alpaca. So I'll have to do something to help with the structure of this. Maybe hold it with like a silk strand or something like that. But it is amazing. So the colorway I loved. So I got a sweater's quantity of this. I have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but it's fingering. No, it's actually a DK. They say DK, but it's really I mean, that looks like a very light DK to me. Closer to sport. So probably a sport sweater of some sort that I'll be putting with that. And then, you know, because everybody needs more alpacas in their life, right? So I decided I need lots and lots of alpaca in my life. So I got a cone, a very big cone. You couldn't customize the size. It was just like, this is the cone. This is what we have. Do you want it or not? And so, yes, I wanted it. It is alpaca and cotton. So the nice woman, Robin from Sweet Georgia, she was in the Sweet Georgia school, the School of Sweet Georgia. And so she was telling me when I went and saw her again, we were chatting, and she had said, okay, so some tips. She was really great with giving me tips. She's like, this stuff does not have any spring back. So you're going to need to do something to give it some bounce. So you're going to want to hold it with something that is going to keep its shape. So again, it might be like I hold something with a little bit of Surrey silk, something like that. And there's like rando neps in there. So this is a lot, but I was thinking this would be a great cardigan. Just a really basic, beautiful cardigan. It would feel so good to wear. Wouldn't be too heavy because it does have the cotton in it. And so, well, I mean, it would be heavy, but it wouldn't be too warm. And we all know how I don't like to be warm. All right. And then if you've heard of Ancient Arts before, which I thankfully had heard of Ancient Arts before, and I met them at the Grocery Girls Canmore retreat last year in February. And I love that the company is all about saving rare breeds and working with rare breed sheeps and rare breed wools and some really interesting fiber combinations. And so I got t-shirt quantities basically of a few of these, and because I just thought they were so interesting and unique, and they told me stories about the yarns and things like that. So I thought this has kind of a nice background to it, and I love the company. And so this right here is Lascaux Fine, and I can't remember how to pronounce it, but it's 25% Manx Lockton and 75% Punta Arenas wool. And Punta Arenas is basically, I think they said they're Corriedale sheep, but they've lived in South America long enough, they get their own name. So they're Punta Arenas wool and in a fingering. So it's, I mean, if you look at the texture, it's got beautiful twist. It's got lots of nubby texture to it. Color is amazing. It's called Davy Jones Locker. And since I'm a Kraken hockey fan, we figured that would be pretty perfect. And then this is going to be for a ranunculus tee. This is, let's see, Little Nettle Soft. So it's actually made of nettle bushes. So it's superwash fine merino, 68% and 32% nettle. And it has this beautiful tonality to it. And so I think this is going to be just a really beautiful t-shirt. And I'm looking forward to working with that. So that is the Ancient Arts yarn. I actually encountered when I was in Phoenix. We went to a place called the Yarn, I think it was Phoenix Yarn. So really simple name. We went there, and basically Phoenix Yarn is kind of like going into your grandma's cupboards and getting out all of her yarn. Like, she has tons and tons of yarns, all different from low end to high end prices. But the funny thing is that I had never seen Ancient Arts anywhere outside of Canada, but she actually had Ancient Arts sock yarn. She had sock NATO. And so I got a skein of sock NATO, and it's in the Phoenix bag somewhere. But I was really excited about that. So I got so that was a little tie-in between Phoenix and Knit City Vancouver, because I saw vendors in both places. And so I had tie-ins. The knit community is very close and tied in. So that was super cool to see those connections. The day before we went to Knit City, we went to Bad Anna's. So Bad Anna's is a yarn shop in Vancouver. It's right down the street from where they hold Knit City most of the time. They'll be moving on. And so I bought some beautiful yarns from them before we even started at Knit City Vancouver. So this is Willow by Full Moon Fibers, and it's on their solar sock base. And you can see it's got some really cool turquoises, rusty browns, gold, really, really cool kind of fall colors. And this is a 80% superwash, 20% nylon. And so just, it feels amazing. And that was that. This one I was so attracted to simply because of the color and the label. So this is from Songbird Yarn and Fibers, and they dye their skeins based on birds. And so this is the lilac breasted roller. You can see the bird, and then they do the colorway based on that bird. And I thought that was just the coolest thing. And so it's the sock base, so it's 80-20. And so now I have all these really beautiful one-off skeins, and now I have to figure out what to do with them. A Scrappy V-tee would be a great solution, because that is a really good scrappy project. Or a sea glass tee, I've heard that's a really easy one to do. Or I could always do some really fantastic socks, because this colorway is just incredible. So thank you to Songbird Yarn and Fibers for that. And also when I was at Bad Anna's, Fireweed Fiber Company, so that's their logo right there. I got, let's see, Violet Sock, their Violet Sock base, which is superwash merino cashmere nylon, which some people will call MCN because it's merino cashmere nylon. And it's in Pinot Noir. I mean, yummy. And it's got just a little bit of tonality, so it's not a really flat color, and it's just beautiful. I mean, that would be an amazing lightweight sweater during the winter. So yeah, so that was just amazing. I also discovered Gauge Dye Works. I'd heard about them before, and I love the idea of a self-striping yarn, because I don't want to weave in ends, but I do love a stripe. So I got, I stopped by the Gauge Dye Works booth, and this really caught my eye. It's called Our Favorite Things, and it's trifecta fingering, superwash merino, and nylon. And so from what I understand is that basically these are, you can make 2 matching socks out of them, and they're made to be matching. I also got, I don't have it to show you, I got Dahlia, the Dahlia colorway, which is a beautiful kind of a ombre green with some really pretty pink in it. And I got that color to make the Dahlia sock, which is beautiful. So basically it's 1 skein of yarn that as you unwind it, the pink is in the center of it. And so you cut the pink out, create its own little ball. And then you have 2 green balls that'll be for each of the socks. And it has like a stem that goes up the front, and then you have a little dahlia flower on the front and a beautiful checkerboard pattern on the bottom. I was really excited about that. And I took it to Phoenix, and I left it on the floor in my suitcase. And my friend's dog decided that would be a really fun thing to play with. And so he turned it into a lovely pile of spaghetti noodles. And I am obsessive, and so I tend to, like, I can do this, I can get it all together, I can find the long strands and turn it into something. So I worked on it for hours and I had to give up. So I'll put some pictures up here as to what it started like and what it ended up looking like. So that was sad, but hopefully I can find some again, and I'll be heading up to Canada, I'm sure, at some point where I can buy some more Gauge Dye Works. So, but this I'm really excited for, just a nice cool striped sock, and put a really kind of either a dark or a very bold colored heel with that, would be the plan. So my friend Kim, she is my travel ride or die, and so she went with me. We got there Friday night, we drove up during the day, we went to lunch at a really cool sushi place, and we love the exchange rate because it's so much less expensive to eat there than it was here. It was less than, I think even the sushi that we had was like $15 for our lunch, which for us living in the Seattle metro area, that's a really good deal. And so we went to lunch Friday. We kind of tooled around, went to Bananas, we walked around, and we just kind of absorbed a little bit of Vancouver because I'd never really spent time there. And I love the city. It feels very European. And so I really enjoy spending time in European cities, just wandering around, sitting on cafes, drinking, watching people, things like that. And so it felt like a lot of that. And so we enjoyed that. Can't even remember where we went to dinner. Then we had dinner that night. We spent the day at City Vancouver on Saturday. So we bought tickets for the whole weekend. We went on Saturday. We kind of shop till we drop. And then we went home, and I was going to figure out what specific things, because there was a few pieces of yarn that I hadn't bought yet because I wanted to match them up to something, because I was trying to be responsible. So I'm like, I'm going to go home. I know I want that nettle from Ancient Arts, and I knew I wanted their Lascaux as well. And so I wanted to go find something for that. So we went back to our hotel. We were kind of chilling out in the afternoon. We got, there was some difficult news from both of our families. And so we were kind of on the fence if we should come home or not. And we were kind of advised, it's like, there's nothing you can do here, so you might as well just stay where you are. So we stayed, but it was definitely a little colored after that. It wasn't quite as fun and exciting as it was, but we went back the next day. We kind of stopped at the places we hadn't seen. I visited a couple of vendors who I had bought things from that I adored. Like I had a pair of fish earrings, and I'll post those at a different time. A really cute pair of beaded fish earrings. And I went to show the vendor those, and I was very excited about that. And just some other cool stuff. I got a new project bag. She had and it says, I'm by Craftual. And cause I knit and I crochet. So I'm by Craftual. And she just has some really fun ones. And Kim's bag says my ball sack, because it's got her balls of yarn. So it's a ball sack, right? So that was really, really fun. And we ended up just going home on Sunday night. And so overall, it was a really good weekend. I enjoyed Knit City. It was interesting to compare and contrast it to Flock, just because Flock was very, very bright, vibrant, and it felt manic almost, whereas Knit City Vancouver was a little bit calmer. Even though it was really busy, it was much calmer. The pace felt a little bit different. I didn't feel as rushed to get through everything. I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to miss everything if I don't go to the booths right now. So that was kind of nice. We decided to go to breakfast, and we spent time having breakfast in the morning before we went. So we didn't rush to get in there before everything was opening. So that was good. We did go on Sunday morning. We went to a place called Brecca Cafe, and it was delicious. So if you are in Vancouver, I think it's a small chain, and you have the opportunity to go. It's Brekka, I think. And we had their chia pudding. It was smooth. It was delicious. I've never had chia like that before. So we had chia pudding. We each bought a pastry, and so just really had a nice morning there before we went back to Knit City, and then before we headed home. So Brecca was really, really cool. If you're in the neighborhood, go check it out. Then shifting gears came home, worked for 2 days, worked for 5 days, and then got on a plane on Saturday and went to Phoenix to go hang out with my friend. she was dog sitting for her sister-in-law, who's also a friend of mine. And so I'm like, well, I'm not working right now. So I decided to go down her. And I recognize that I have a lot of privilege being able to take time off to do things like this. And so I'm thankful to my husband, who he sticks around here and works every day. When I'm not teaching, I do have a little more flexibility. So flew down to Phoenix. It was just a chill 10 days in Phoenix. My friend had to work the whole time. So basically I sat on the couch and I knit and crocheted my heart out. I was listening to my podcasts. I was listening to books. I finished 1 billion books while I was gone. So it was really, really a relaxing time. We did do something that Kim organized, was really fun. We took a scooter tour of Scottsdale through Crafty Jacks, I think is what they're called, or Crafty Jocks. I'll have to look it up and I'll put the link down below. So basically we rode around on scooters that were dressed up like costumes. So my scooter was a purple horse and Kim's scooter was a hippo. So we were tooling around with a bunch of other people in downtown Scottsdale, on the streets, on the roads, in the parks. And we learned a lot about the history, the art. There's a lot of public art there. And so we were able to explore some of that. And then we stopped and we had lunch, and it was a great day. So I'm really thankful that Kim thought to organize that for us. And so we did that. And then we stopped at the yarn parlor, which I had mentioned before. And Nikki is the owner of the yarn parlor. And she I believe she's German, I think. And she has a beautiful selection of yarns. So if you're ever in the Scottsdale area, go visit the yarn parlor. It is a relatively small shop, but she has a wide variety of different kinds of yarns. She's very knowledgeable. She's incredibly friendly. We came in probably with 15 minutes until she was supposed to close. We had a hard time finding it because it's in like this small little industrial strip mall. And we thought it was on one side of the building, but it was actually the address on the other side. And it was a little door that was kind of pushed back. And so we almost missed it. So I'm glad we found it. So if you're looking for it, it's on the other side. It's on the other side of the parking lot. And so that's where I bought my Cashmere Dreams, which was just, it is everything that it says. It's dreamy. And she was the one that recommended the pattern, the Keyhole Cowl, to make with it, because it takes only either one full skein of Cashmere Dreams, or you can hold 2 together, which is what I did, and do a nice marled effect, and then you can make 2. So it's kind of a nice value for using cashmere in a small amount and getting a really big bang for your buck. And so again, that was the Keyhole Cowl that I made, and it was 2 colors of Cashmere Dreams. It was kind of a really, really pale, kind of a cream, and then a soft rose pink that I put together. And so that was beautiful. She was really nice. She was very helpful. She wasn't rushing us at all. I'm like, I know we're kind of late in the day, but she didn't rush us. She was fantastic. And I really hope that a lot of people go check her out, because her shop is new. And it's always nice when there's a new yarn store in the neighborhood, because everybody needs a local yarn shop. And I think that'll be really great for people who live down there. So that was one day. And then we actually, on the next weekend, because I was there over 2 weekends, the next weekend we did our official yarn tour, our yarn crawl. And so we started with Tempe Yarns. And if you haven't been to Tempe Yarns, they have everything. This place was huge. I walked in and I was like, and I saw these people going in, and I was wondering, ooh, what's going on? There's something exciting happening inside. It turns out, no, that's just a regular Saturday. They're like that every day. It's busy all the time. And the people were super helpful. I found some beautiful yarns I'd never even heard of. I also found Super Glow there, which I love Super Glow yarns. And so it was nice to see them actually in stock somewhere. And they are from the southern part of the US, I think in Arizona. So that made sense that they were stocked there. Got myself a cute little, I think this is a Delicue. Yeah, a Delicue little bag from Tempe Yarn and Fiber, and established in 2006. I think that's where they've been the whole time. And this bag is really awesome. It's got like the little snaps so you can put your yarn through it. I'll talk about what's inside of it in just a second, because that's another store that I found in the Phoenix area. And so that place was amazing, overwhelming. and I found so many cool things. And so it was really hard to narrow down because they even had there was a vendor spotlight there. Let's see, these are from a different shop. I don't want to mix up all my shops because I did go to a bunch of different shops. Found some really cool stuff. And here's the bag. So this is their bag, Tempe yarn and fiber. And it was crazy. The place was crazy. So what I got this beautiful, delicious yarns hand dyed in Arizona. So I figured that would be kind of a nice souvenir yarn. And it's 50% merino, 50% silk. And I marked it for a sleeve t-shirt. And so I can't remember which pattern I'm going to do with it, but I did put it in Ravelry. So it's in my Ravelry. So that way I know when I get to this stuff, I know what pattern I was thinking of. So I've started doing that, and that seems to be very helpful for my ADHD brain that forgets most things. And then I said I saw Super Glow there. Oh, look at that. I love Super Glow. I just discovered it this summer, and I seriously can't get enough of that stuff. So probably it will either be a shawl, or a small shawl or a wrap, or a beautiful pair of socks, because I dig these kinds of colors for socks. And then the company that had a showcase there used to be an Arizona dyer, but I think they moved to Texas or something like that. But they were doing a spotlight there, and it's called Rivendell. Let's see, this is Rivendell Fingering and Lorien Lace, and the company is Refracted Light Fiber Arts. So I'm gonna hold those two together. And again, I put these into my Ravelry. The colorway is Thistle. And so I have it in my Ravelry. So if you want to know what it is, you can find me in Ravelry. Or eventually I'll start knitting it, and I'll make sure to share it with you. And then, so I think those were the bulk of the things that I got. I did get enough that I could make some stuff. And then I got this cute little, it's from Leading Men Fiber Arts right here. So this is that's their sticker. There we go. And Purple People Eater is the colorway. And I got a little skein because I think this is going to go really amazing with oh, look at that. So good, right? It's going to go great with that Super Glow. The Super Glow color is Mermaid Caves. So they had quite a few to choose from, and so I picked Mermaid Caves. All right, so that was Tempe Yarn and Fiber. And then we went to, the next shop was the one I had mentioned that was Phoenix Yarn, and that was like Granny's cupboards. I mean, it was chock full of yarn. And I did get the Socknado from there, and I literally just saw it. Where'd it go? Oh, right here. So this was, I guess, Ancient Arts does an exclusive colorway every month. And so the woman who owns Phoenix Yarn buys when she can. So when she has as she sells out, because she has to buy in groups of 5, she said. So when she sells out with one colorway, she gets another one. And so this was actually the September 2025 colorway. And I thought that was so cool. I mean, greens, teals, purples, browns. It's got pretty much everything in there. So that's going to be a fun one. And it is Socknado, so that's 80% superwash and 20% nylon. All right, so then after we left Phoenix Yarn, we made our last stop, and I loved this little yarn shop. So we went to a place called Yarnmonger. It is it's in Phoenix, because it's really close to where my friend's daughter goes to school. So it's in Phoenix. She has a relatively small space, but her name's Mickey. And she has a relatively small space, but it's beautifully put together, lots of different options. And she's really, really cool. So they were working there by themselves, and she took time to talk to us and kind of share information about her yarn store. And it was really cool. She was even working on a big bulky weight sweater, which to me seemed crazy in Arizona. but I guess they acclimate, and it does get chilly every once in a while. So she'll have a few opportunities to wear that. Whereas if I was down there, I'd never be able to wear it because it's too hot all the time. But she even had an exclusive colorway dyed for her by Hot Magenta Yarn Company, which I believe is also in Arizona. Yeah, Arizona Indie Dyer. And the colorway is the Yarnmonger. So the name of the store is the Yarnmonger. And these are the colorways, the colors that she uses for her logoing, which I thought was a really cool contrast. So I was very excited about this. So these are going to be really, really cool socks. I mean, I'm going to have so many socks, and I still only have 2 feet, but maybe I'll share them with some other people in the house. Isn't that gorgeous? So that's the Yarnmonger's colorway. So if you're looking for kind of a unique pop, this is a really nice exclusive colorway. All right, so that I took that around because that's going to be my next pair of socks that I work on. And I had seen Robin's Nest Fiber Arts, and so these were people that I think used to dye up in Arizona, and they have moved, or dye up in Alaska, and they've moved down to Arizona. So they are, this is the local yarn shop day for 2025 exclusive colorway, and it's called Teal Treasure. And it's got some really nice chartreuse and some deeper teals and some light blues and some darker greens. And so this is just really, really gorgeous. So I was glad to get my hands on that as well. So I liked that she had a couple of exclusive things in her shop. I also got a one of those row counters with the little circles on it. So I got one of those, which has been really helpful. I used it a ton when I was doing my color work project. And let's see. Where I got that. Oh, and some stitch markers. Some custom-made stitch markers from Yank Your Yarn. So Yank Your Yarn, that's the brand. And there's some words. So be ready. I'm not saying it, but you're reading it, okay? Okay. So it's in their Taylor Swift era, right? And these are some of the words that I either say or think as I'm knitting. So, yeah. All right. Those are really fun. They're called Uncensored Cussin' Words. Shut the front door. So I thought these were really cute, and they're also just beautiful. So, whoop. Technology, ain't it grand? All right, and then she had a little sale section, and I love a sale. And so this was a beautiful cotton. So I'll probably create some like dishcloths or something with that. But it felt really soft. I was surprised at how soft this felt. It is Araucania Yarns Confetti, and it's hand-painted organic cotton. So love something that's organic. It's hand-painted. It's a small dyer. So I really did a good job supporting local businesses. So if you're a local business, you're welcome. I had a great time meeting so many of these people. The Yarnmonger, this is her card. And if you want to find them, that's their address in Phoenix. All right. Oh, and I was mentioning my beautiful Dahlia sock yarn that was a play toy. This is what I've balled up so far. So if you look at it, it's just these little micro balls, basically. Is all I have left. But I told you I'm dedicated, so I really worked hard to get little teeny tiny bits of yarn to see if I could do something with them. So there they are. I have some. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. Let's see. Oh, I got these from the Yarn Parlor. These say, this is the back, and it's a little sheep booty, the back side of a sheep. So those are cute. So Phoenix was a dream. It was just so relaxing and everything kind of that I had needed at that point. And came back, worked a couple of days, and then took off for Pender Island, Vancouver. And that was a really fun weekend. The place is gorgeous. It's at Poets Cove. KnitSocial is the one that puts it on. And we had some really great classes on how to make sweaters that fit, which I really, as you can imagine, I need that since I can't finish anything. And when I do, I wanted to make sure it fits. So some really great tips from Pip and Pin. She was the teacher for that class. And also learned how to do embroidery. So that I found really, really fun. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a lot of it, but it was really beautiful. And it actually was really quite fun to do. So I can see myself putting some stuff on a jeans and things like that. And, or if I have a hole in a future sweater or shirt or something like that, I can see myself doing a little embroidery work over it. It just has to be cool. I'm not going to do little hearts and stuff all over the place, but we'll see. So I did some of that. That turned out really nicely. And so it was a really great getaway. I met people who are from the US and from Canada again. And I met someone, Kate, so shout out to Kate. She works down in the Bay Area and lives right like in the town next to where I used to live. And so we chatted a little bit about that and kind of her work, and it was nice to catch up. And then I met Meredith, and Meredith is the salty cookie because she was a baker. And she makes beautiful, beautiful knits, and she's very cool. And we kind of bonded over our family makeups and our kids. And so she was cool to hang out with. I just went down. I was going to go sit down outside when it wasn't raining. Sun was out over the water. It was just gorgeous. And so I walked down and I found a bench to just sit on. And she came down there too. And so, or she was already down there. And so she let me sit with her. And so we chatted and we knitted, and it was really spectacular. And so that whole weekend was really, really nice. And while I was there, I got the email that I could sign up for the Canmore retreat for Grocery Girls. That's what started this whole thing, this whole yarn travel. And so I signed up for that. So I'm looking forward to going to Calgary in February again. Hopefully the weather is as nice as it was this year when we were there. And I look forward to seeing many of the women that I met there are going to be at this retreat. So I think Laura and Gail from Yarn Room Shenanigans, I think they're going to be there. And I have to check with Angela from Yarn Church to see if she's going. And I know my roommate Julie is going to be there again because we're going to room again together. And so I think there's going to be a lot of people that went before that are going to be there again. So it'll be fun to meet people and see people again. So that was kind of the last travel trip. And I have Sacred Sheep's coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'll have some info on that. We'll see if I get a tattoo while I'm there. They're doing tattoo work that you can sign up for. And so that's, 2 weeks. The hockey season is underway. So I've been going to Kraken games and really enjoying watching those games. And they did put in place a no knitting or sewing needles rule, which is dumb because they give me chopsticks, which are just as dangerous as my knitting needles. And so like even my little teeny tiny sock needles and stuff, I have to decide whether I'm willing to sacrifice those if I go. So so that we'll decide if that's worth taking my stuff in. But that's normally I bring to do the intermissions and stuff. I'll be knitting, and sometimes I'm stress knitting when the games are getting really, really good. And they have been really good this year. They've been really close, and we've actually gotten off on a great start. So that's that. And I read a bunch of books. I've watched a ton of shows. So just kind of an off the needles section. My husband and I watched Nobody Wants This, I think is what it's called, with Kristen Bell and Adrian Brody. And that somebody had recommended it, and I decided to watch it. And I literally watched the whole 2 seasons in Friday and Saturday of a weekend. So I have been very sedentary lately, watching lots of things, reading lots of books. And so right now I'm reading a book called Babel by R.F. Kuang, and that is one of my daughter's favorite books. And so I've been listening to that one, and it's fascinating. It talks a lot about language and etymology and translations. And so being someone who studies language, and I love language, it's been a really nice book too. I'm listening to it right now, but I think it's going to expire before I can finish it. So I may just pick up her book copy and finish that. And so Babel is really, really good so far. I really enjoyed that. And I read The Tenant by Frida McFadden because, you know, if she comes out with a new book, no, it was The Intruder. The Tenant was a while ago. So I finished The Intruder, and I know there's like a bunch of other books. I have now Colin Jost's A Very Punchable Face in my queue. And so I want to read that. And then S.A. Cosby, I read one of his books in the past. And then I just read, I mean, his books are brutal. The language is so descriptive. It's like he uses just amazing words. His choice of words is incredible. But it's pretty rough topics. And so this one had to do with a kind of a young adult who gets into trouble with a drug dealer by taking the stuff to sell and then not selling it and using it and losing it. So, and everything, the fallout that happens from that. And it was a rough read, but it was such a good book, such a good story. And they kind of leave you thinking at the end, and there's some ethical dilemmas and how would I handle that? And so I found that really delightful. And that was The King of Ashes by S.A. Crosby. And I think the last one I read by S.A. Cosby, and the last one I read by him was All the Sinners Bleed. That was a hard one too. But really good. So I was on a tear of a little bit of light and fluffy, and then I got back into the deep and dark and have really enjoyed that. And Babel is kind of lifting me up out of that for a little bit, and then A Punchable Face is gonna really just make me laugh, and I'm looking forward to having a little chuckle time. And I think that's it for today. I know I had a lot to talk about. I have been busy traveling and knitting. I mean, the fact that I've finished 2 things that are off the needles already and some yarn spins and stuff like that is just, I've been really cranking stuff out. And so I'm looking forward to cranking out a little bit more. And so I think I'll wrap it up there. I'm sure I have lots more that I haven't showed you, but I'll probably end up sharing it with you as I do projects and things like that. So I hope you find some joy in whatever you're doing, whether you're knitting, sewing, crocheting, scrapbooking, card making, anything that you're doing to create something and put something positive into the world. I hope you find joy. And I know that if you're still watching this, you and me, we're best friends. Have a great week.